Hey there guys, welcome to another computer application tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to start looking at hypertext markup language. This is just going to be a very basic introduction. See you just now. Alright, I thought it would be quite useful to start this tutorial off with a PowerPoint presentation where I'm just going to go over a few little points about what hypertext markup language really is and kind of just give you a basic feel for what the language is all about. Alright, so we're going to look at three things. What it is, we're going to look at a text editor, and we're going to look at getting started. So when approaching the name of the coding language, we can see that there's two main parts, the first one being hypertext and then the second one being the markup language. So hypertext describes text that is a link to other text, which is normally made available to users once the link is clicked on. Now, what you need to know is the www, the World Wide Web, is built on this concept. Now, when we look at markup language, questions might arise. For example, if this is a language, what are we trying to communicate with? And what is markup language? So to look at this first one, let me just give you a scenario. I've got a friend, and let's say he's learning a new language. He's learning to speak French. I mean, if I hear him say that he's learning to speak French, my question to you might be, why French? Well, what's so interesting about that? And he could say, maybe I want to go tour Paris, I want to go sit at a restaurant, I want to be able to, maybe just ask the waiter for a coffee or something, or I want to be able to ask people for directions if I'm there. I'm going to need to be able to communicate or at least understand what they're saying to me. And if we look at the computer now and we're looking at this particular language, we need to communicate with something. What are we communicating with when we look at this language? And the reason we learn this language is so we can communicate with internet browsers. So the internet browser will display the web page according to the instructions that we give it. Alright, then looking at markup language closely, what is a markup language? And it is a language that requires tags to identify the beginning and the end of certain elements in a web page. These elements can be anything from the structure of the page itself to lists, tables, paragraphs, and text. Most elements require an opening tag as well as a closing tag, with the actual content that is going to be seen on the page displayed in between those two tags. Alright, so moving on, we're going to look at text editors. Well, editor, I've only got one that I really like to work with. There are many. If you Google text editor, you're going to see there's a mountain of them available. I really like this one. It's for free, as are most of the other ones. But you really don't pay anything for this, where the other one, sometimes if you need to get an upgrade, you have to pay for that upgrade. So if you are going to go with anything else besides Notepad++, just make sure you get the full free package. Alright, now another thing, reason I like this so much is because it is an easy editor to use. And if you're new to HTML and to coding, you can pick it up so easily with this and learn so quick. And then the last thing is that Notepad++ is a high execution speed. It's got a super fast execution speed, and it creates smaller program sizes. So if we have to compare the size of a file that comes out of Notepad++ to some of the other editors, it is substantially smaller than the rest. Okay. Now, before we start, we really have to install Notepad++. So that is what I want to show you now. So I'm just going to open up my browser, And inside here, I'm going to just start by saying download. There, I've already searched it, Notepad++, and I'm really going to go to this first one. We're looking for notepad++.org/downloads. Okay, once you've clicked on that, it's going to take you to the download page, and I'll just take the newest release. You can go through the releases and see which one you're keen on using. Make sure you also check your computer's system. If it's a 32-bit, you need to install a 32-bit, or at least download a 32-bit file. If it's a 64-bit, you need to download a 64. Okay, so let's scroll down here, and I'm going to download. Now what's going to happen is the package will download. Once that's done, I'm going to let it open the file and let it unpack here on my computer. So let's say yes. Right, so the first thing that's going to come up is this window here that says install a language. It's asking you what language you want to install in. I'm very happy to do it in English, so I click on OK. And then the next little window that opens up is this installer, the setup. Alright, so I'm going to click on next over here. I'm going to say I agree. And then over here you can change the destination folder. Right now I'm happy to leave it going into my program files, but if you wanted to, you can install this directly onto a flash drive, and that would allow you to take that flash drive and plug it into any machine and have Notepad++ available to you. But I'm happy to do it on my computer. Alright, this components I'm going to leave exactly like they have ticked off already, so I'm just going to say next. And then I actually wanted to create a shortcut on my desktop. This box here, this checkbox, if you install it onto your flash drive, you're going to need to tick this box, because you need to make sure that you enable this option to make Notepad++ load or write the configuration files from or to its install directory. So you need to be able to tick that box if you're going to install it onto your flash drive. I'm going to click on install. It's going to unpack, it's going to install. Alright, and then once it's done that, I'm going to click on finish. I'm going to leave the box ticked so the program will automatically launch once I finish setup. Alright, so there the program is. It's launched. You'll see there's just a change.log tab that came up here. I can close that, and you'll see now that I've got one that says new. If you can work with any Microsoft programs, this is quite easy to understand. When you got your tabs at the top and you got your different menus. We don't really use half of the stuff here, but if you want to go and explore, you're more than welcome to. Right, so we're ready to code. The first thing we need to do is let the editor know what language we're going to be coding in, and I'll show you why now. So if I start and I create a HTML tag, as you can see, it's a tag. It says HTML. I've got to use the angled brackets to open and close this particular tag, and there's nothing different about it. It's still black. Now if I go to language and I tell the editor, listen, I am going to be using HTML and coding in HTML, you will see now that the tag is in blue. Alright, so that is the first tag we need to put in, and what that tag tells the browser is that this is the start of the code. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to save. So I'm going to click on the disk, and then I'm going to save this to my desktop. And if you notice here, the save as type, it says Hypertext Markup Language File. So because I changed the language, the save as already identifies this file as a .html file. which is the file that the browser now will be able to open and read through. Okay, so I'm okay with just calling this a new one for now, and I'm going to say save. Okay, so I've saved it. Let's just go and find the page on my desktop. Okay, let's go fetch it. It is called new one. Alright, it was just on my other desktop, so there we go. So what I'm going to do now is, if I want to actually open this up in the browser, I need to just double click on it and it will automatically open my browser. As you can see here, I've got new1.html, and that is the name of my web page, but this is going to change just now. You'll see it now. And then over here we've got the URL, so this is where it is located on my computer. So C drive uses Miguel desktop, and then we've got the rest of the URL there. Alright, so what I'm going to do then is just minimize the browser, and I'm going to go back to my Notepad++ code, and I'm going to finish off the code now. Right, so what we need to learn first is that there is a specific structure when it comes to coding in HTML, and the structure needs 4 tags. It's going to need the HTML tag, it's going to need the head tag, title tag, and then body tag. And for each of those tags that are opening up, we are also going to need to close them. Now, the opening tag tells the browser this is the start of the code, and then the closing tag will tell the browser this is where it ends. So with those elements, the start of a specific element and the end of the element will also be identified by the browser with these tags. So the structure is like this. First of all, we open up HTML, and then what we're going to do is open up the head tag, and then we're going to open up the title tag. Now you'll be seeing that I keep indenting the tags, and that isn't something that is required. The program will still be able to read the code, and it will still be able to display the web page exactly the way you want it. The only reason we use these little indents is so that it makes the code easier for us to read. And the indent I'm just creating by pushing the tab key on the keyboard. Alright, now I'm going to close the title tag, and the way we close a tag, it's just with the / like that, and then we just write title in. Okay, so if you open up a title tag, the way you close it is with the /, and if you click on it, you'll notice that its partner gets selected in purple. That's something else that's nice about using this editor. It highlights the tags for you and can kind of show you where the start of the tag is and where the end is. Other editors do the same thing, so if you do decide to use another one, then you will see the same thing happening. Alright, so inside this tag now, I'm going to say Miguel Vieira. Let me just make that a capital. And then we're going to carry on. So after the title tag has been closed, I'm going to move back to the line where I opened my head, and I'm going to now close the head tag and push enter. And now the next tag we're looking at, and it's the last one, is called body. And then I'm going to close the body. And then the last thing I'm going to do here is close the HTML tag. Alright, so if you have a look at the structure, the HTML opening and closing, the head, the title, and then the body, this is the same structure that you're going to find on any web page that you are on in the internet. So if you're busy surfing the net and you get to a page, if you right click on it and you say view source code, you will see these tags appear within that source code. There's going to be a lot of other stuff there, but you will see this basic structure. If you look carefully enough, you'll find an open tag for HTML and a close tag. You'll find your heads, you'll find your title, and you'll find your body. Okay, so this is very important to learn, and this really is the basics of your HTML that you really need to know. Okay, because we're learning a language, the very first thing we do when we learn the language for the very first time is get the program to say hello world. Now, we are going to get the browser to read through our instructions here, the HTML file, and it's going to create a web page that's going to say hello world to us. But before we do that, I just want to show you what happens now. I'm going to save this, and because I've already given it a name and saved it the first time, when I click on the disk it will automatically save. And now I'm going to go back to my browser, and you will notice that at the top, this is where the title is going to appear. This still says the name that I saved my browser as. It doesn't give me the title. So what's happened is that the browser has read the instructions the first time it loaded, and I've changed the instructions now, but now the browser hasn't read the instruction yet. So what it needs to do is reread the instructions. So what I need to do is reload the page. By doing that, I'm telling the browser to go back and reread the instructions, and there, as you can see, it's created the title using the title that I told it to use. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work here between this white space, and this is the body of our web page. So anything that appears within these two tags over here will appear in that white space that you just saw now. So let us go ahead and say hello world. Alright, so there we go, and we're going to save that, go back to our browser, and as you can see, nothing is there yet, but that's because we haven't refreshed it. So as soon as we refresh it, we tell the browser to go reread the instructions that we've written, and when we do that, there we go, we have hello world. Alright, so that is it for this tutorial. I really hope you enjoyed it. What we're going to be doing going forward is looking at other tags that are quite important, formatting tags, page setup tags where we create paragraphs, we create lists. We are going to also look at adding images. So there's still a lot to happen with HTML, which we're still going to cover. So keep tuned in, and as soon as a new video comes out, you can see all the new content. If you like this video, please click the like button, and if you feel that you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe, and we'll keep in touch. Till next time, bye for now.